How long will the power cuts continue for? Well, Eskom Spokesperson Andrew Etzinger is on the line for us this morning to, well, shed some light on this entire story for us. Andrew, a very good morning to you. Thank you for your time. We understand you're the busiest person in the country right now. What is the status at the moment? The last word from Eskom being that there will be no load shedding today. What's it looking like for the week then?
Yeah, Vicky, good morning. Over the weekend, of course, we took a painful decision to implement load shedding, but it has put us in a good position going into the new week. The system is still very constrained, but I've just spoken to our system operator, and he says that today and basically tomorrow and Wednesday, we are going to be okay. That could change, of course. There are risks, but at the moment, the outlook for the first half of the week is fine. When we look at Thursday and Friday, there we are concerned about possible load shedding. It's not to say that it would be as bad as last week. We're dependent on diesel supplies coming into our power stations by then. If we get those diesel supplies in, then there's a good chance that we'll make it through the week without load shedding, of course, which is what we're wanting to achieve. And then into the weekend as well, we're expecting that the demand for electricity will be lower in the country as we head closer to the festive season. So from the weekend, we're expecting to be in the clear. So a couple of days this week, we'll be vulnerable, but otherwise for the next month or so, we're hoping to avoid load shedding.
All right, that's great news then, Andrew. I mean, a lot of people over the weekend, just judging by sentiment over the weekend, wanting to know why over the weekend. Why is this happening over the weekend, and why during the day? Why don't you just do it at night? Can you clear that up for us?
Certainly. The dilemma Eskom has is, at the moment, we need to basically implement load shedding either on the week or the weekend. That is, unfortunately, it comes down to those two choices, and the disruption to the economy and to society is that much worse during the week than on the weekend. So as frustrating as it is, if you think of traffic flows, if you think of the manufacturing sector and the basic economy, the main economy which gets going in the week, certainly more disruptive to be impacted during the week. When it comes to day versus night, in the night, the demand for electricity naturally drops off as homeowners go to bed and a lot of the economy shuts down. So no need for load shedding during the wee hours of the morning, for example. But during the day, when we are using electricity, that is when, unfortunately, the demand for electricity outstrips supply, and we are needing to reduce demand to a level that we can supply. And unfortunately, the way that we do that is load shedding.
Okay, so you get it where it actually will be most effective and where you would get the better results. All right, Andrew. The other issue was Kahora. So we know that maintenance was being done there, and that was also partly the reason that we had to take some of the strain on here. Has that maintenance been done? Is it sorted?
The maintenance on the Kahora power station was done 2 weeks ago, so it wasn't done over the most recent weekend. This weekend, we did maintenance on 6 of Eskom's own power stations. That maintenance has gone well. It's once again very essential to get those generators back into service. So that was what we did this weekend, in addition to recovering our reserves of diesel and of recovering our pump storage upper dam levels.
There was also talk, or rumours, if I can call them that, Andrew, about the Majuba station, and that a second silo had been sporting some cracks. Just can you clarify that for us as well, please?
There are 3 silos at the Majuba power station. Of course, one has collapsed. That was on the 1st of November. Of the remaining 2, at the top of one of the silos, there is a crack. It's right at the top. It poses no structural risk to the silo, but nevertheless, both the remaining silos at the power station have been emptied immediately following the collapse of the first silo, and those silos are not in use. So part of the investigation into the cause of the collapse of the silo involves also inspecting the 2 remaining silos, and we certainly won't put them into use again until such time as the engineers have given us the all clear.
And Andrew, just speaking to ordinary South Africans, especially over this weekend, I mean, a lot of people saying, but is it not that Eskom's maintenance plan in general is in a shambles? And a lot of criticism coming from out there that generally maintenance is not being done as well as it should be. Just what do you have to say to that?
There's a big dilemma that we have in that the maintenance needed on the power stations we simply cannot do, because to do that would mean taking power stations out of service, and of course that would results in load shedding. So we will be the first to admit that our power stations are under-maintained, that we are not doing the maintenance to the extent that we would want to, and it's just unfortunately part of the vicious circle that we find ourselves in. To get ourselves out of this, we need to bring the new power stations online that we're building. That will give us the gap, firstly, to have more capacity, of course, to meet the demands of our consumers, but also will give us the opportunity to take our existing power stations out of service to do the maintenance on them. So we certainly would agree with that, but nevertheless, we're doing the best we can given the current circumstances.
And in terms of Medupi, I mean, there was talk a few weeks ago, or not so long ago, that the first part of its power generation would be up and running by December. Where do we stand with Medupi now?
The first of the units at Medupi is basically ready to go. We're busy with the final cleaning of the steam pipes in the boiler. That could take a few extra weeks to do, but it has to be done properly. But the good thing is that certainly the construction is complete. We've in fact been taking coal into the power station already, pulverizing it, burning it through the boiler. So all of that is working. The turbine is spinning. So effectively that unit is good to go. It's just really a case of putting the last quality checks in place, and then we'll be synchronizing the unit to the grid. It will take a couple of months to ramp up to full capacity. That's how, unfortunately, the testing and the quality control goes. But certainly it's going to give us much needed relief, and we're looking forward to that immensely.
So are we then, Andrew. And just after the load shedding of the weekend, and just driving home from various events and things, just looking at things like the highway, and I know this is not within your control, but one would think that Eskom and the other authorities would sort of work together on this. Every street light on the highway being lit up, every street light, on little roads being lit up. Is there not a plan you can make with those things? Surely those are also things that would come into play when we're trying to save power here and make it up.
I couldn't agree more. It's deeply frustrating when wastage of electricity is occurring. What I'd like to firstly, an appeal from Eskom for all businesses, for all homeowners to please use electricity very conservatively. I think we all understand where we are at the moment. But if there are streetlights which are being left on, please contact your local municipality. If you don't come right, please drop me an email. What we're doing within Eskom is also, I've got a database. I'm keeping track of these, getting back to municipalities and just letting them know. In most cases, I must say the municipalities are actually very grateful for that information. They themselves would want to cut down on their electricity bills. They are short-staffed. They don't always know about these problems. Send them through to me. I've got a database. Every week we're sending information through to municipalities, and in most cases I'm glad to say these are being rectified.
All right, thank you very much, Andrew Retzinger. Hopefully we won't have to speak to you again this week. Eskom spokesperson on the line there.